Alrighty, we are officially into the 2023 Hawkeye football season. Today, we are recapping Utah State. We're talking with Cooper DeJean, our special guest on the pod today, and then we'll be previewing the Iowa State game coming up this week. This is Talkin Hawks, presented by Hills Bank.
No matter where you are in life, Hills Bank is here to help you succeed. Whether you're buying your first house, saving for your child's future, or preparing for retirement, you can count on the people at Hills Bank for the support you need to reach your goals. It's easy to connect with a banker in person, over the phone, or on hillsbank.com because we believe banking is better through human connection. Hills Bank is an equal housing lender and FDIC member.
Hey, hi, Matt.
Whew, one down.
One down. You literally, when I came home yesterday, you were like, 6 more to go.
So game day for me is just both kids. So Dax 2.5, Blair 3 months. We got it.
Yeah. Pacifier came in handy.
Pacifier got her down for a nap, got him down for a nap, and then got her down for a nap again. She took enough of the bottle. I wouldn't say she did great. She was hungry there for a little bit until she realized she had no other choice.
Yeah. And
then I think she figured it out. You know, it's one of those things you got to look at the tape.
Mm-hmm.
Got to go back, reassess. Yeah. You know, how do we not let the wailing happen again? We got to be on top of it, and then we push forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not based on potential. It's based on what the product you put out there, right?
Mm-hmm. How would you rate your performance as a stay-at-home dad for a day?
I was better than half. So
okay.
Probably like 7.
A 7?
7.
I'm going to ask Dax.
Hey, hold on. They all ate. They all slept. And I watched the game.
And they were alive when I got there.
Bada bing, bada boom.
I couldn't ask for anything more.
I'm talking myself into an 8.
Wow. I don't know. I'm going to put a little camera, nanny cam up next time I leave. See how we really do. But when I get texts where I text you, I'm like, how's it going? Which I probably do way too often. And I get, we're doing okay. I
didn't say that. I said we're doing good.
Yeah.
Period. I just didn't put I didn't put an emoji.
Not my favorite response. I literally replied to you. I said, oof, that doesn't sound good.
And then I elected not to respond because I was like, I need to take care of business.
No, you did that. So I would be like, oh, I hope everybody's okay. I'm stewing because I'm there leaving you all alone with the kids. My game day, Matt, ask me about me. Come on, this has been all about you. Stay at home daddy.
Laura, tell us about yours.
Okay. We all care. No, we had some technical difficulties. Anybody listening to the podcast right now that was at the game, we had some struggles with the video board and the microphone. It was a tough one. The heat got to it. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
I don't know if you truly believe that it's 10 to 12 degrees hotter on the field, but I think you believe that now.
I've literally been on the field for 7 years. I don't know why you said that to me. You're like, I told you it's 10 degrees hotter. I'm like, yeah, I know. I was there last year and the year before and the year before that and the year before that too.
I doubt it was as hot as it was yesterday.
Oh my God. The first game is always like that. And I know this because I've been there. But yeah, my microphone stopped working for a little bit. The video boards went just completely black for a little bit. It was just we had a rough go of it there in the first half. But
first game jitters.
The video board was like, we're nervous. We don't know. But yeah, no, we got through it. And at halftime, did a little sound check. We got the video boards back. I got back on camera. Everything was good, but it was warm. I was melting. Makeup was just
on point
in a tough place too. it was all around. I was like, yeah, this checks out for first game. So hopefully in a couple weeks we'll get it back. But anyway, let's talk about the game. What did you see in between, giving pacifiers and making chicken nuggets? Like, what was your take on? Let's see. Let's start with Cade because everyone was all, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? What was your take on him? How did he look?
Well, first throw as a Hawkeye as a touchdown.
We love to see it.
Albeit it took him probably 30 minutes to figure out that Seth Anderson possessed the ball through the catch. But first time out there, bang, touchdown. So that's a really good thing. And not only that, but the fact that we called a double move, second play of the game. We have that big kickoff return, but then to trust Cade on there and double move, throw it up, which the guy fell down. Great route by Seth. Kind of set him up. He went outside. He won inside to go back outside, which you normally wouldn't do because you're giving up leverage. So think about if I go inside, but I need to go out and the bad guy's there, the defender, he's already where I want to be. So it's a lot tougher to run the route. But if you just run a double move and you go up the sideline, and for whatever reason, the guy fell down, really good route and, finished it off. So to start that way, I thought was really big. He's got some zip on the ball. You know, I mean, there were some out routes, and Nico caught a quick out route and the ball just flies out. Yeah. It's awesome to see that. Also taking a few risks, which I like to see. Throwing the ball up to Nico on the slot fade. Shout out to LaShawn because he texted LaShawn Daniels Jr. I roomed with him in college. And he texted me. He's like, hey, that looked like you and CJ back in the day. It was kind of cool to see that.
No, it was good. And I was listening to Gary Dolphin. I think they had like a video up on Instagram or something like that. And it was Gary's play over it, or Gary's play call over the actual play. And he was like, yeah, the adjustment in the air, the pass was great. Nico came down with it. I was like, this sounds just like a play call from when Matt was playing. Like, they always like to talk about your adjustments and that kind of stuff. And so I was like, yeah, 89 represent. We love it.
Agreed. And not only that, but like just taking a risk. You know, that's not a guaranteed ball. It's a little bit underthrown, but trusting your guy that he's going to go up and make a play. I think that speaks volumes more so than just being able to hit the open receiver. We did see a few drops, and stuff like that,
so
which is not customary.
Yeah, you talked about Cade's zip on the ball. So, of course, I would Twitter. I'm always looking at Twitter. But there's somebody was saying how, with those couple of drops on one of those drives, right? They were like, I don't know if the receivers were used to like the zip on the ball, the way the ball came out kind of thing. Like, maybe Cade's throwing it too hard. Did you see that? Or I don't know, maybe it was just something that someone said.
I can see it to a point.
Okay.
CJ could sling it. And so you always had to be ready for that. But I'm thinking of one in particular. It was Lachey across the middle, kind of hits off his hands, probably ends up being a touchdown. I can't say that it had too much zip for a guy that we see in the NFL after his time at Iowa. So it's just one of those things. It happens. The over the shoulder to Nico later, that's a really tough adjustment for those that are like diehard football fans and know all football plays. Mike Evans made a similar play in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs where the ball was underthrown and he kind of like had to look over his shoulder. And it's kind of an interesting thing you say to like look over your shoulder because there's probably a 2-second time where he can't see the ball. So if I'm the receiver and I look over my right shoulder and the ball's coming over my left, there's a time where it passes over my head and I'm not going to be able to move my head quick enough to find it with my hands. I have to hope that my hands are in the right spot. Mm-hmm. And that's just something that comes with reps and reps and reps. And when you're in that kind of body position, like it's a tough thing on Nico, right? Because we all see it as like a drop, but it's also a really tough catch to make. It's kind of a catch-22 where you can't expect him to make that, but you expect him to make it. Like, I don't know how else to phrase that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there were just little things like that. But I felt Cade commanded the ball well. No turnovers, always a big thing. But just really precision throws is what I saw.
Very good. And then Eric All got the TD.
Yeah, he did a lot of good things. It's kind of interesting. He looks a little lean out there, and he played a little fullback. So he moved from tight end to fullback. He was leading the way when Caleb Johnson scored that touchdown. And then obviously he scored one as well. So it's kind of cool just to see those kind of utility guys because I think Iowa likes that. Potabom was that for them the last couple of years. And so to see somebody else kind of fill that role. And not only that, but he also split out as a receiver. So, I mean, he did all three. Trifecta, Eric All, does it all.
Okay.
Bad pun. But either way, like I thought that was pretty cool to like see them utilize him in so many different ways.
Okay. Anybody else from offense that you want to point out? Nope. You know what? I do have a question. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you.
We didn't talk about this.
Offensive line. What are your takes on that? I know it's early in the year, but lots of thoughts on the O-line.
I feel like everybody's got thoughts on the offensive line, right? Yeah. And I think it's really tough. You're asking 5 guys to go out there and always be on the same page. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. There are some technical things that obviously will get better with time. The more you work with, the guys next to you, inevitably reps get you better because okay, when I bump it here, he's going to be able to block the right way. There was a toss play in particular that I'm thinking of where our right guard kind of hopped back versus turning and running. And if he turns and runs, he gets the backer and our running back cuts inside of him. Mm-hmm. But instead we hopped back. So our first step was back as opposed to out. And the linebacker coming up made the play because we didn't get there in time. So like little things like that are going to grow as they get more reps. And so, I mean, usually you don't start off 100%. That's just not the way it goes. There were a couple blitz pickup things that we missed as running backs. where the pressure was coming up the middle and we were looking out to the side. So that's a miscommunication somewhere. Don't know who it is, if it's the running back or the line. So just making sure that everybody's on the same page is really what's going to move them forward.
That's the craziest thing about the O-line is like when you're watching as probably like an average fan, which my football IQ, I'm going to go average fan. Okay. I'm going to be honest with everybody out there. Like, it's fine. I've watched a lot of football, but I'm not Matt VandeBerg caliber IQ. Okay.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. But as like an average fan watching, it's like, oh, the quarterback keeps getting pressure. They can't run it up the middle. What's going on? Oh, it's the O-line, right? That kind of thought. But you talk about the nuances and just like the little tiny things that the O-line has to focus on. Of it was a step back instead of a step to the right. That's crazy.
Well, and not only that, but like, so there were a lot of close-ups of Cade right before the snap. And a lot of time he's pointing and he's saying the buck is 52. I'm just going to say that that's the dude's number. I don't know what their middle linebacker's number was. I don't remember off the top of my head. But they'll be like, the buck is 52. So what that tells the line is, okay, these three have these three. Like the center guard and tackle might have these three to the left of the buck. And the running back might have the first guy on the right side of the buck, along with the two offensive linemen that are on that side. Those two have those two. Like there's a lot of nuance that goes into who the buck is. And then that also determines who the receivers are hot off of if it's a pass play, because you need to have an answer if they blitz more than you can block. So then the receivers have to know who the buck is and who's coming, so that way they can adjust their routes. Like there's so many different little things, and that's why all 11 have to be on the same page. And it rarely happens game one. It's something that you work towards, but it's good to learn these in a win as opposed to learning them in a loss.
Yeah. Well, that went right over my head.
Sorry, I spoke very quickly, so I apologize to everybody out there. My mom already going to yell at me that I was talking too fast.
Just if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can do half speed. Do they have that on YouTube too? I don't know.
0.75, something like that. Sorry, I got excited.
Take notes, write it down. So before we get to our unsung hero, I want to talk about defense just very quickly. What did you see? What did you like?
Jay Higgins, 16 tackles, 12 solo. Like I talked about on the preview for Utah State, that our defensive line is built on not making tackles. They're built on absorbing blocks so our linebackers can make tackles. Nothing can like personify that more than Jay Higgins going out and having 16 tackles, right? That's exactly what our defensive line is supposed to do, so that way our linebackers can go and make plays. I think Nick Jackson might have had 5 or 6. I think he was kind of wider, more so than Jay Higgins always being in the middle, which they did what we thought. They're going to spread us out. But it also isn't great when our DB, I think Cooper had 7 tackles. He was our second leading tackler. It's not always great to have a DB like that, but the fact that your middle linebacker has 16 tackles is really, really good. We did have the one interception, Xavier Wonkpa. So kind of welcome to Iowa, being in Kinnick, being able to have that play. Very cool. Special teams as well, I just want to touch on. How good is Torrey Taylor that when he gets a punt blocked, it still goes almost 40 yards?
Yes. I think everybody like kind of deflated a little bit when that got blocked. We were like, what? This doesn't happen ever. But the fact that it still went that far.
Yeah. Unbelievable. And he still had a really good day. I think he had 3 punts inside the 20. And the announcers on TV were talking about, do you hear the roar for this punter? It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Immediately when he started walking out there, it was Torrey Taylor. And in my head, I'm thinking there is no other school that gets that excited when they don't get the third down. There just can't be. Like, sweet, we get to watch our punter now. This is great.
Right.
It's so funny.
And what's cool is like knowing him now, being able to have that conversation last week. Good guy too.
Yeah. It's almost like I don't want him to make third downs, It's like that weird feeling, the catch-22. You've said that already this podcast. Thank you for the recap. It is always good to learn something after a win. That is for sure. It is now time for your unsung hero, brought to you by JB Roofing. Who do you got?
Jazz Patterson.
I like it.
Jazz Patterson. So I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier where running back and offensive line need to be on the same page. So the running back knows what blitz pickup is. And to put it in really simplified terms, a blitz is if somebody not a down lineman rushes the passer for the defense. So it could be a linebacker, could be a defensive back, but they're typically off the line of scrimmage and then they come later. So that way they get to disrupt the pass. Well, they try to bring somebody up the A gap, which is the closest to the center, and our offensive line shifted to go take their guys. Well, the guy who's blitzing is Jazz Patterson's responsibility. And he bowed up there like crazy. Boom, got in his face, set his feet, drove his hips, and allowed Cade McNamara to throw a jump ball to Luke Lachey. And I think it was like a 20 or 30-yard completion down the field. It was a great catch by Lachey. That's what's going to get the highlight. But the unsung hero is Jazz Patterson making that play even like a possibility because he went in there and just stuck his nose in there. That's what they call it. Stick your nose in there, stop the linebacker. And that's because he loves Iowa Hawkeye football because he's not getting the hype. Luke Lachey getting the hype. But great job by Jazz Patterson.
All right. That was our unsung hero brought to you by JB Roofing. We're going to take a small break really quick, and then we're going to hop into our conversation with Cooper DeJean. Need a new roof, gutter, or siding in Eastern Iowa? Call JB Roofing, the local and reliable roofer with over 20 years of experience. They do one roof at a time, unlike others who juggle multiple projects and cut corners. They also serve a 45-mile radius around Kelowna and help you with any insurance claims. Don't wait. Call 319-656-ROOF or visit their website, jbroofingkelowna.com, for a free estimate. JB Roofing, the small town roofer you can trust. Hey, Matt, did you know that Iowa City Tire does more than just tires?
Yeah. I mean, they've been servicing the corridor for like 40 years.
Okay, but did you know that until somebody had to tell you?
No, I didn't.
Well, hey, check out how they're doing things in a very different way at Iowa City Tire and Service, where service actually comes first. Visit ictire.com. Okay, we've got our second guest of this season today. Joining us is Cooper DeJean. Cooper, what's up?
How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming. First game of the year yesterday. You're probably feeling a little bit like game hungover, right? With the heat and all of the things. I feel like the day after any game, it's like a brutal hangover, especially when it's that hot. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm a little sore, a little worn out from how hot it was, but glad we got the win.
And now you get to come do this.
Yeah.
You feel so lucky, I'm sure.
So lucky.
Okay. Okay, first of all, so born in South Dakota. Tell me about that. So Matt is from South Dakota, and we saw that, and I was like, I don't think he went to high school there, though. So did you live there for very long, or were you in Iowa?
I was there for 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So
I mean, most people leave.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I don't really remember much about it. So.
Okay, gotcha. And
it's like a little bit colder, and then there's less people.
Yeah.
I love East South Dakota, but it's colder and less people.
Yeah, that's fair. And then, okay, your high school. Let me get this right. OABCIG?
Yep.
Okay, so what are the letters there? Is that just a lot of like schools that combined? Or what
yeah, a
is
lot
that?
of towns. So there's 4 towns: Odebolt, Arthur, Battle Creek, and Ida Grove, all consolidated to make one high school.
To make a 1-star, right? 1-star high school? Or 1A? 1A. Jeepers.
Yeah.
1A, sorry.
Yeah. 2A. 1A, 2A. We played both classes when I was there. So
Okay.
It moves. So my junior year, we were 2A. Senior year, we were 1A.
So it really fluctuates that much? Like all based on enrollment, or?
Yeah, I think so. Like every 2 years, they like redo the classes.
Okay.
Based on how many kids you got.
So no matter what, you played with 11?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it wasn't that small, yeah.
Well, so when I played in South Dakota, we only went up to 2A.
Oh, really?
We had 2A, A, and then B and 9B.
Yeah. Don't you guys have 9-man football?
Yeah, so like 9B was 9-man football. You
Okay.
just drop the tackles.
Okay.
I think Iowa, is it 8-man here? Or is it
8-man,
9-man?
yeah.
8-man?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we only had 4 classes.
Yeah.
Like I said, like nobody there.
Yeah.
I graduated with 260. Like it's a big school, but
Yeah.
it was also like second or third biggest in the state.
Yeah, I only graduated with like 80 kids in my class.
That's what I was going to ask
That's
you. 80
wild.
kids. So how many
Pretty
people
small.
came to your guys' games?
It was actually pretty packed, to be
Really?
honest. You get, I mean, especially football games, you get like all 4 towns,
Mhm.
all in the stadium.
I don't know if it was like
So-
just parents.
No, it's a pretty good environment, I'd say.
Okay, I know you're not going to like this question, but ask it anyway. Did you see, I mean, you're a stud in high school. Like, people probably came to watch you from other places, right? They had to have. Like the Caitlin Clark effect, right? Like, if she's
my
playing
senior
somewhere.
year, my senior year, especially once we got late in, like in the playoffs and like other teams weren't playing, you'd see people from other schools come and watch us, which was it was pretty cool. I think we were a lot of fun to watch as a team, just because like the type of offense we ran like 5 wide, and just slanging around the yard. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Okay, so based on that question, I know you've been in media training because I know what that training is like. I ask you a question about yourself, you bring it back to the team. But I also
Smart.
know, just based on your past interviews, that's just the kind of dude that you are. Like, always bring it back to the team and always had that kind of mentality. How'd you feel about yesterday?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
We got
I guess when this comes out, it'll be how'd you feel about Saturday?
Yeah. We got off to a good start, I'd say. But there's always things you can clean up. I think we could have finished the game a lot better, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And then special teams wise, there's a lot of things to clean up, as we saw today in meetings, which would be after Saturday, whenever this comes out. But yeah, but I think a lot of guys realize like how much more we still have to do and how much better we can be as a team, which is really exciting, I think, for us and for the people watching.
I think there's two things to that. I think it's better to learn that in a win
Yeah.
than it
Yeah.
is in a loss. But that's the fun part about football is that you're never there.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
KF used to tell us all the time the hay's never in the barn.
Yep.
Do you still
Yeah.
use that
Oh, yeah.
saying? Yeah.
All the time, yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, like, that's kind of the cool part about it.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to go back to the high school thing. So I thought I was a dog in high school, right? So I had like between 40 and 50 touchdowns. Laura, how many touchdowns did this dude have?
I don't remember.
132?
Really? Was it?
Yeah, that's what I read. 132 touchdowns. That's
Was that-
wild.
Like
That was everything.
receiving?
For you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just said total.
Okay.
Like throughout your career.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's wild. I tried to tally out my numbers between like offense, defense, and special
Really?
teams.
Yeah.
And I was only like mid 40s to
Yeah.
50. And I thought, like, that's crazy. But you did basketball.
Yep.
Obviously, we've seen videos of you throwing it down.
Yep.
Tori was on here saying that if you had a team, you'd be hooping. He also said Jay Higgins, also pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a pretty good hooper. Yeah. He's a big LeBron guy, so he likes to compare his game to LeBron. So, but I
Meaning
don't
like
know.
they're close or
No. No, they're not close, but I think he thinks that he's similar.
That's how he models his
Yeah,
game. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But I don't know if he's quite there. So
And then track and field too, right?
yes, and baseball. Did you say baseball?
No, I didn't know
I played baseball. Yep.
Dang, so
4
you're
sports,
like Joe Mauer.
I guess.
Do you know who Joe Mauer is?
I do know who he is, but I don't know much
He was like,
about his background.
I'm pretty sure he went all state in football, track, basketball, and baseball
But-
before he eventually ended up obviously playing for the Twins for I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
But track and field, I got to ask one question because I saw one stat come across. What was your long jump?
My longest one?
Yeah.
I think it was in the subs. So we got sub-state and then state. So in our sub-state meet, I think it was 24-2.
That's really humbling.
Did you long jump?
Yeah, that's humbling. Because I saw on the thing that Drake Relay is 22-11 and a quarter. And I was like, all right, I jumped 23. I'm going to bring this up.
Yeah.
And you went 24.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I knew
So
where you were
that-
going with it. I was like, this will be his claim to fame. And you just got totally embarrassed.
I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I deserved it. I led you into that, so I deserved it.
Incredible.
Laura, ask him the next question.
Okay, yeah, we'll move on for your sake. Okay, so when Matt was getting recruited, he had like the choice, like not the choice, but he was offered like, do you want to play offense or defense? Did you have that like discussion with anybody?
I did not. No schools that offered me gave me like the option. A lot of schools wanted me to play DB.
Okay.
Oh, like it was that from the start.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There's one school that wanted me to play quarterback.
Who was it?
South Dakota State.
Hey,
Yeah.
Jackrabbits. Okay.
Yep. So I had, I think 5 total offers. Iowa was my only Power 5 offer, but this is a place I've always wanted to be growing up as a Hawkeye fan. You know, as a little kid in the state of Iowa, if you're an Iowa fan, you're coming to Kinnick Stadium and dreaming about, you know, playing in Kinnick and putting on the black and gold. So I'm glad I'm here.
What was that recruitment process like from a small town Iowa?
Yeah, it was interesting because no one really from my school had gone through like the recruitment process. I think there was one other guy that played Division I football from my school. So yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I think sophomore year is when I started to get some interest. I think I took my first visit to Iowa after my sophomore year.
And that was just based on playing, right? That wasn't going to camps and stuff like that. Like that was
Yes,
just playing.
yes.
Okay.
Actually, no. Okay, so after my freshman year, I went to a camp here at Iowa as a receiver because I played receiver my freshman and sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
And then prior to my sophomore year, I came on a visit here. Played my whole sophomore year. And then I switched to quarterback the next year. And then that's when Iowa offered me. And then some other schools as well in the FCS. No other Power 5s, like I said, but yeah, it was a cool experience. taking all the visits. And then there was COVID during my recruitment. So
like, were they allowed to talk to you more, like because you couldn't visit, or like do you even know kind of how those rules?
I don't really know how the rules worked. I just knew we couldn't take visits, which kind of sucked.
Right.
But like I said, Iowa was the place I knew I wanted to be, so it made it easy on me.
Who recruited you?
Coach Woods. Great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy.
So I was talking to Tori. So Coach Woods recruited him. Coach Woods recruited me. I'm going to date myself here, even though I'm not that far removed. I'm not even 30. But so Huddle had like just come out when, or either that or our school just got Huddle. I don't remember. But it would have been like 2011 because I graduated high school in 2012. And I remember you can like make your own highlights on Huddle.
Yeah.
And I burnt DVDs with my highlight tape and mailed them to 55 different colleges. And 0 of them responded,
really?
Which I'm sure is par. But none of them looked at it. So I actually came to a couple camps here at Iowa, and that's how I got recruited.
Yeah.
But
nowadays you can just like make highlights and post them on Twitter, and all the coaches will see it.
That was like that was way before.
Yeah.
I'm not even old.
Did you make a Twitter like "this is where I'm going" commitment video?
I did not. No, mine was kind of like. So I thought about it like for a couple months, and like one day I just woke up and I was like, why wouldn't I want to go to Iowa? It's where I've always wanted to play. So I called my mom, told Tyler Barnes, called Coach Ferentz, and that was that. So cool.
Just get Coach Ferentz on the horn real quick.
Yeah. Just gave him a call. Let's see. Okay, I have a question. What were you like as a kid?
As a kid?
Yeah. Like, what do your parents tell you? You were like when you were, let's say 2.5. Did they tell you anything?
I don't know if
you strike me as like a very focused kid that doesn't want to talk to anybody.
I mean, I played a lot of sports. I don't know that young if I was like doing any like sports stuff. I don't know if I remember much from back that far, or if they haven't really told me anything.
No,
from
not
back
like,
that far.
you were a rambunctious kid. You were kind of crazy.
I'm sure I was.
Yeah.
You have siblings?
I do have 2.
So did you have to like hold your own?
Well, I'm the oldest, so
so you just beat up on the other ones.
Yeah.
All right.
Kind of.
Makes it easy.
But no, like growing up, like all I did was growing up in a small town. You kind of like have to make your own fun because there's not much to do. So like I'd ride my bike around town all day, hang out with friends, go to the playground. I was pretty active. We had dirt bikes and stuff and 4-wheelers at my house. My town's surrounded by like a bunch of fields, so we just ride 4-wheelers and dirt bikes around the fields and stuff. Then in the winters we had a Ranger with like a big plastic sled, and we'd connect it to the back of the Ranger, and just my dad would just rip it around the fields in the snow and stuff. Me and my brothers in the sled. So it was a lot of fun. It's fun growing up in a small town. I don't know if many people know that, but I think it was a lot of fun.
Did y'all have a stoplight?
We do not. No.
That's how you know it's small town.
Yeah. No.
Did you have any, like, with all those toys that you guys played with, the Rangers and the 4-wheeler, like any crazy like injury stories from when you were that young? Like somebody's always got something.
So one day I was riding my bike, and it was me and my middle brother. He was riding a ripstick. I don't know if you guys.
Yeah, it's like you got to move your feet forward and back.
Yeah, so we had like a hill by our house. So I was riding the bike. We decided it'd be a good idea to connect a rope to my bike with him on the ripstick and just pull him behind me. Mm-hmm. And we were going down the hill, and all of a sudden he falls off, and he starts crying and stuff. And I'm like, "What's wrong?" And I like, as a big brother, you just tell them like, "Suck it up," anytime they get hurt. But come to find out, that he actually broke his wrist somehow on the landing, so we were riding and he actually crashed on the road and broke his wrist. So that wasn't.
So nothing from
parents
you,
weren't
though? Like,
too happy.
You haven't gotten
injured?
No,
you just did that to other kids?
Yeah.
You just heard everyone else.
Not on purpose.
Very good. Well, the reason I ask is because our son is 2.5, and he is like psycho crazy.
Really?
Like just so active into everything. And I was like, but he's also like really focused and
Yeah.
like tries really hard.
His eyebrows, I'm pretty sure, are like permanently like this.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
I was
That's
like,
good, yeah.
I feel like he's like, maybe he's a mini Cooper DeJean. I'm gonna find out. Like maybe he's gonna be something cool someday.
Yeah, I'll have to ask my parents.
You have to.
Yeah.
Let me know. Let me know if we've got
Yeah.
the cards are good for our future. Okay, preseason All-American. How are you feeling about that? Does that kind of pressure bother you? Does that like, I don't know. How do you feel about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I try not to focus on that too much. You know, preseason awards, nobody's played a game yet.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's 0-0. Coach Ferentz always says that.
That's like KF talking right now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So you can't really focus on that too much. You just got to try and go out and prove it on the field, and that's what I try to do. So
Pressure never really bothers you.
not really.
Yeah.
I like the pressure sometimes. I feel like it makes me play better.
I feel like you play the most pressure position on defense. Like middle linebacker, obviously they got to get everybody lined
Yeah.
up and make sure everybody knows what they're doing. But most of the time you're on an island, especially when you're going man to man and you're in the slot. And
Yeah.
now you got to face this little skinny dude. Like I think I heard them say that 3 or 4 of the Utah State dudes ran 4.3.
Really, I actually didn't know
Those receivers. Yeah, they were talking about it on the. I mean, I don't know if the announcers are like 100% accurate, but I'm pretty sure they said 4 of them run 4.3.
that. Wow.
So
yeah,
like knowing that you're trying to run with those dudes is kind of crazy.
yeah, it's usually some dude that's around like 5'8", 5'9", shifty in the slot, especially makes it even tougher. So
And like just knowing that that's your job, like
Yeah.
just stop that dude.
Yeah.
And they know where they're going. I think the most physically demanding position on defense is DB. I think
Yeah.
offensively it's tight end, but
Yep.
defensively I think DB is like unbelievably difficult.
You're just chasing guys around all day.
That's the only time I'm going to give DBs credit, but
Yeah.
for real, it's good.
I appreciate that.
Iowa State week. Let's wrap this up with that. How are we feeling about that? Being from Iowa, and obviously a huge Hawkeye fan your whole life. Like, does this week? And I know your answer is going to be no. Every game's important. I get it. But I mean, does this week kind of get you amped up? Do you like playing at Iowa State as opposed to having it in Kinnick? Like, it's kind of fun to be in that opposing stadium. I don't know. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I've actually never played. So I didn't travel there my freshman year to Iowa State. So I've never played there. But
Oh,
I've been to games there. I was at the game where there was the rain delays and the huge storm
We
and
were there
stuff.
too.
Yeah, it was terrible. But growing up, I mean, you know, this is the game like around my area where you just get a bunch of people and everybody comes over and watches that game. That's how big it is, you know, in the state of Iowa. And obviously, it's a trophy game, and you only get 4 of those guaranteed at Iowa. So you want to make the most of that, and being a in-state rival, you want to have those bragging rights. Obviously, they got it from us last year, but hopefully we can take it back this year.
They have some immaculate grass.
Yeah,
Like it's incredible to cut on.
really.
Yeah, not like the Rose Bowl stuff was like brand new sod that got thrown down, and
Yeah.
so like our guys were sliding all over the place. We were talking about the Rose Bowl before we got on, but like their grass, incredible.
Really?
I like turf, but I also like natural grass, and that's one of the best kept grass fields.
I
And we
love
always play them
playing on
early in the
grass.
year, which helps.
Yeah, I love playing on grass over turf. I think we played in the Titan Stadium last year. That grass was really nice, I think.
I would say the pro guys should have it
Yeah.
like down to a science, because
Yeah.
I think we played out at Pitt. Was that 2014? Yeah, I don't know why I'm asking you. Yeah, it was either
No
it was either 2014 or 2013. We played out at Pitt, and the Panthers also play with the Steelers play
Yeah,
at Heinz Field, and yeah, that grass was immaculate
Yeah.
too, and that was like probably week 3, week 4, but yeah, grass fields are
Yeah,
something
I love
different.
grass.
There's something
Yeah.
about it.
yeah.
And you guys come on through there. That tunnel that you guys come out of is right by the student section.
Incredible.
Yeah,
And-
I've seen pictures. Yeah,
They're angry.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like,
isn't
Amped up.
the hawk walk that we do isn't like
Through their fans.
yeah, that's what I thought. And
You have to like
single file line.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're like sitting right there yelling at you. It's the best environment.
Yeah.
Like that. Don't get me wrong. I love Kinnick. And for a home environment, that's what you want, because the fans are all about you, you know? But if there's an opposing environment that I want to play in, it's Iowa State.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they hate you so much, and you know you're going to walk out of there with a win because you're going to go do your
Yep.
business.
Yep.
Like it's shutting up that many fans
Yeah.
is awesome.
wait. Speaking of fans hating you, have you guys seen the video on Twitter that it was after the Nebraska-Minnesota game that they were all like, all the fans were going out of the stadium, and they're like, who hates Iowa? We hate Iowa. Like all the fans.
Minnesota?
Minnesota
After
and
the
Nebraska.
Nebraska game?
Yes, Minnesota and Nebraska.
Oh,
like
they were doing it
all
together.
of them together as they're walking out of the stadium.
Wow.
Who hates Iowa? We hate Iowa. I was like, that's so petty.
That's
Like,
crazy.
You
Yeah.
guys just played each other. So great.
Wow.
Yeah. A couple more rivalries that we got.
Hey, that tells you that we've been winning too many trophies.
Yeah. Yep.
Something like
So
that.
we got to stay on.
Yeah. You gotta stay
We got
on it.
another one to get this week. Well, Cooper,
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming on the podcast
Thanks
today.
for having me.
Yeah, I know you're depleted after Saturday's game, but we appreciate you taking the time and best of luck against Iowa State.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
This season, Marquee Pizzeria is teaming up with Nico Reganey to help the University of Iowa Children's Hospital. Together, they've created a new signature pizza, the Nico Parm. Sounds so good. $2 of every pizza will be donated to the Children's Hospital. Visit Marquee Pizzeria, located in the Coralville River Landing, this fall and help the kids by eating pizza.
You know, if you're not in the mood for pizza,
If you're not, I love Estella's because it is fresh, from the fresh grilled steak to the salsas to their fresh pressed tortillas.
I love Estella's because it's quick. You can get in and out. And it doesn't feel like fast food. It feels like fresh food quick.
Yeah, we both love Estella's because it is made with love. They put a lot of pride in their food and customer service, and they are locally owned. Plus, it was my biggest pregnancy craving. I will say that too. That's Estella's Fresh Mex. Fresh food made quick with love.
Locally owned and operated, Performance is a full-service restoration company serving eastern Iowa. As an IICRC certified firm, their multi-licensed technicians have decades of experience in water, mold, and fire mitigation. Whether it's your home or business, this is the team you want in a time of need. Performance Restoration, 319-626-2292.
So, epic second guest on the podcast. Cooper was
Back-to-back
great.
Preseason All-Americans.
Look at us. How did we score that? Shout out to Stella's, though. I will say that. They helped us hook up some great interviews.
Thanks, guys.
And some great burritos. We will say that. So we got Iowa State coming up, Matt. I know that we have a lot of disdain for the Cyclones, but we do have to give a shout out to their veterinary clinic because they saved our dog's life. Let's just tell this story very quickly. So our dog had bladder stones. She had like 9 bladder stones. Our dog's name is Tutty, by the way, which is just short for touchdown.
So it's touchdown VandeBerg. Go ahead.
We love it. And she had these bladder stones, and it was like 2:00 in the morning. And they're like, we have a shortage of vets in the area, apparently in like the Iowa City area. You're going to have to take her all the way to Ames. So Matt packs her up and takes her all the way to Ames at like 2 a.m, drop her off. She had to have surgery, and they saved her life. Without them, she would be no longer. So big thanks to the vets at Iowa State.
The veterinarians.
The
Thank you.
veterinarians. And also the vets.
And the vets.
Love them too.
And the vets.
So let's do some fun facts about Iowa State. So
Let's
we
hear it.
know we know their mascot. We've talked about that before, right? Cy on our previous podcast. But right now I just want to talk through some fun facts because they actually do have some good ones.
Fun facts that you just looked up, or fun facts that you know? Fun facts. Where did the fun facts come from?
Yeah, Matt, I had these in my back pocket about Iowa State.
Can't wait to
I
hear it.
looked them up. I
Okay,
found them
okay.
probably on Wikipedia because I love a good wiki search. All right, 1916. We're going way back. Freshmen were forced to wear beanies everywhere on campus so that everyone knew they were freshmen. Then at the end of the year, they would burn them in a ceremony to say like, oh, we're not freshmen anymore. Isn't that crazy? I'd be like, I'm not
Yeah.
wearing that. But like apparently they were forced to.
Okay. Next.
Number 2, in 2001, Iowa State students set a Guinness World Record for the largest Rice Krispie treat in the world.
Do you have dimensions?
No, I don't.
You looked that up, but not the dimensions of
should've.
the Rice Krispie treat?
Maybe we can add it in the description of this podcast. And I'll tell you what, Matt, you can look it up right after this. I'll let you do that.
That's not my part on this. That's not my
Next
bit.
one. The third one, Cy the mascot, was first shown to everybody at homecoming, 1954. And the mascot suit was so heavy that they had height and weight limits. Like you had to be 5'11" to 6'2". You had to be in that range. And you had to weigh between 175 and 210 pounds. So as a freshman in college, you couldn't have been Cy.
Yeah, because I was too big.
Okay. Yeah, Matt was 6'4", 240. He just shrunk.
Yeah. I just lost weight as I
The
got
other
here.
stipulation was you would had to be free of knee trouble. So you couldn't have done that one either.
I was fine with that one.
This, you couldn't do it anymore. And then, let's see. He used to have a baby, an offspring that would be with him at games.
Wait, the person wearing the mascot had to have a kid?
No.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying Cy the mascot had an offspring that was named Clone. I get it because he's a clone of, but then it's Cy and Clone. It's kind of cool.
So to wrap this up for everybody, we had two birds that create like the siren that's at Iowa State for the tornado warning, and they're the Cyclones. That's my point. None of it makes sense.
Okay, I was wondering where you were going with that.
That's my point. They do the thing.
Yes.
Okay, so that's clearly a tornado reference.
But
And then you've got a grown bird named Psy.
I'm sure the bird has something to do with something. I didn't look that up either. You're ruining this part for me.
I'm sorry, I'll stop talking. I'll
So
let you
the
finish.
next fun fact I have for you. So their campus is beautiful. Like, it's gorgeous. Their buildings are beautiful. They've got a ton of like trees and it's gorgeous. We went, remember? And I just wanted to say this little fact here. They have over 6,000 trees on their campus and this one's so funny, over 22,000 shrubs on campus.
I want to know who has to count the shrubs.
Probably the people that planted it. Over 22,000 shrubs. That feels like a lot, but that's part of the reason it's so beautiful. A lot of nature around there. And the last few facts that I've got for you here, they have played Iowa. We've played each other 69 times.
Nice.
This will be the 70th. And then, let's see. Iowa leads the series 46-23. The longest win streak, Iowa has that with 15 from 1983 to 1997. And the largest victory margin, 57-3. And that was Iowa over Iowa State in 1985.
Dang.
There you have it.
Those are very fun facts, Laura. Thank you.
And you're so welcome. I'm so glad you ruined one of them. So, Matt, tell me, are we going to have a victory margin of 57-3 this weekend? What are we looking at?
I don't know if it's going to be 57-3, but it's kind of an interesting mix of styles. I think there's always hype coming out of Iowa State. Every single year you hear so much noise, as KF would talk about, which is just other people's opinions, like Tori talked about. I'm pretty sure Joel Lanning was their quarterback when I was there, and then switched to middle linebacker, and he was going to win the Heisman as a middle linebacker. And then Brock Purdy was supposed to win the Heisman. And like, it's interesting how there's always so much hype coming out of that camp, getting ready for this game. And they always play us tough. Outside of the night that we got engaged, we won 42-3. But outside of that, usually it's a pretty close, tight-knit game. Even last year, I think was 10-3. Like, it's always going to be hard fought. And there's a trophy on the line. Cooper's not going to talk about, much more about that because that's KF, which is the way it should be, right? I mean, every game's important. You only get 12 guaranteed opportunities. So you got to go out and take advantage of every single one. But their game against UNI was kind of interesting. The score doesn't really, the final score was 30-9 in favor of Iowa State. But the game was a lot closer than that. In that the very first drive, UNI throws a pick six. It's already 7-0, 3 minutes into the game. Shortly thereafter, Iowa State, UNI punts it. Iowa State punts it, and it goes out at the 2-yard line. UNI can't move the ball. They punt it. Iowa State gets a punt return for 39 yards. They start at the UNI 21, and they go in and score. So 14-0 like that. And so, like, you take away those 14 quick points, and it's 16-9. Not only that, but the second interception that they threw was right at the end of the half. And I forget the guy's name. I want to say it's Jeremiah Cooper. Picked him off, runs it down, gets out of bounds, gets tackled, whatever, and then they kick a 54-yard field goal. So that's 17 points that could have been prevented in terms of like really quick bang plays. And you take away 17 out of the 30, and it's 13-9. Now, that's Iowa State doing things right, in those scenarios in order to be able to make those plays. But you take 3 plays away, and it's 13-9.
So their starting quarterback is out. And this next guy that's coming in, tell me about him. What did you see from him?
Well, his name is Rocco, with 2 C's, which I don't know how I would spell Rocco, but I feel like I'd do Rocko. I don't know, into the weeds. But he went 10-13. They didn't have a ton of offensive yards. They didn't have a ton of passing yards. He only threw it 13 times, completed 10, like I said. No interceptions, no turnovers for Iowa State, which is normally they fumble it at least once or twice, or something happens because it's Iowa State. That's just the way it goes. But defensively, seems like obviously they forced two turnovers that resulted in 10 points. That's obviously a really positive thing. They also had 5 sacks, which is a lot. So you talk about our offensive line just buttoning some things up with our running backs, make sure we're set, meshing, I guess, going against their 5 sacks. So we're really going to have to be on our game in terms of identifying who the buck is, who's in charge of what. And, who knows, maybe we have some tight ends chip or running backs chip on their way out. And by chip, I mean, as they're going out for their route, they just kind of hit the defensive lineman just real quick, pop, with their shoulder, just to let them not get a free run at our tackles. So little things like that might be helpful. And interesting about their defense, I don't really know how interesting this is. It's 16 straight games allowing less than 400 yards.
Okay, I thought that was a really random fact.
Yeah, your response to that was
that feels like a lot.
Well, that, and then you said it's probably their 100th game allowing less than 1,000.
Yeah, I was like, I could write an article and be like, this is the 100th game in a row with Iowa not allowing, over 1,000 yards in a quarter. Isn't that great? I mean, the article that we read that stat in was on the Cyclone, main sports
hype page, whatever, yeah.
Website or whatever it was. So that made sense, but yeah.
So we're just gonna have to be buttoned up. I think getting our running backs, tight ends in line involved, making sure they get more reps. Now they've seen game speed. They've gone against somebody else, which is good. I think we only had 1 sack against Utah State, which they've got a running quarterback. So who knows if some of his runs were calculated as runs because it's designed, even though he was hit behind the line. So there might be a few things there. But yeah, I think the main thing is going to be up front. Talk about it every week. Starts up front with the 5 guys, and then Cade getting us in the right play, willing to take some risks. We're going to have to take some risks in this game. We were able to make those plays against Utah State, and I hope that continues to take those kinds of risks, because with those kinds of plays, it's high risk, high reward. If you throw it in a spot where only your guy can get it, the risk goes way down, but the reward goes way up. It's a lot harder of a catch. So it's over the shoulders. You got to high point it correctly, things like that. But taking those risks at least keeps a defense honest, so they can't put. Last week I talked about what the box is, which is tackle to tackle, and maybe I should back that up. So the 5 offensive line is the center who snaps it, and my fun fact, my old babysitter used to call him the hut hike guy because she didn't know what he was called. So it's a center, and then the 2 guys next to him on either side are guards, and then the 2 guys on the very end of the line are tackles. So you've got 2 tackles, 2 guards in the center. And we have to be able to throw, so those 5 guys make up the box. And so from tackle to tackle, which involves those 5 linemen, back to linebacker depth, maybe a little bit further, we talked about Utah State tried to go spread so that way we would get guys out of the box. Well, we want that too, with the threat of throwing the ball, so that way we can really run the ball. I think Caleb Johnson had 19 carries. Obviously we want to run the ball, we're Iowa. But if we can be efficient enough in the pass game, take enough risks to keep them out of the box. They normally play quarters coverage, which means their safeties are going to be bearing down. Quarters means that each 4 of their DBs, there's 2 corners and 2 safeties on the field. Typically, they each have a quarter of the field. There's 4 guys, 4 quarters. And in that coverage, corners usually stay deep and the safeties come up and make plays. So if we can keep those safeties back and out of the run game by throwing the ball, I think it's going to make running the ball a lot easier.
Okay. See, I'm going to be honest with you, Matt. When you do those explanations like that, if you're watching this, you can see this. My mind kind of goes like this.
I tried so hard to make it
I know. But here's the thing.
Understandable.
There are a lot of people that are listening and are like, yes, this makes sense to me. And it does make sense, but it just happens to me. I don't know why my mind just goes blank. So great week.
I'm glad
recap and preview. It's a preview of Iowa State. It all sounded wonderful. I can't wait.
Can't wait.
Okay. This feels a little unhinged today. I'm not going to lie. It's just been a lot. All right. Taking on Iowa State, hoping to bring home that trophy. It's going to be, I think I saw 86 should be around in the 90s again as you are down on the field, but it's not turf. So maybe that'll help with the.
Yeah. You're not going to have the added 10 to 12 degrees, but we've actually been there.
We have been there. And the last time that we were there was when they had the Lightning game when we sat for hours and hours. I can't remember what time that game got over.
I don't either, but I remember that as soon as we found our seats, you looked at me and said, can you get me a slice of pizza? And I was like, we just sat down. We were at the main concourse to get all the food. Now, that being said, I ran into Marv Cook on my way over there and we talked for a while, but
I didn't know I was hungry until we sat down.
That's the same kid that doesn't realize he has to go potty until he sits and he's all strapped in the car.
I don't know what to tell
Same
you.
kid.
You got the pizza and it was great. But yeah, Iowa State does have a really good atmosphere. So if you're headed up there, Hawkeye fans, you will have a good time. But it is a pain in the butt to get in there, to get parked. They have a ton of parking, a ton of tailgate spots, but there's one way in and there's one way out. And so it takes a little while. So if you're planning on heading down to the game, make sure you take your time.
I kind of blanked on that part. I think I just shot that out of my memory.
Yeah, that's all right. We were there for a very long time.
We were.
But,
We were.
okay, I feel like this has been a great episode. We got a lot done with Cooper. Got a lot of insight into Iowa State, and then recapped what was good, what we can work on this week as we got the win over Utah State. 1-0. It's the best way to start the season.
As KF would say, it as good as you can do. You've played one game, you've won one game, on to the next.
Moving on to the next. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.